You know that feeling when your heart starts beating fast and your hands get sweaty? Everyone told you it was anxiety. But what if I told you something that might shock you? What if that feeling wasn't broken at all? What if it was actually your mind's way of waking you up? Sarah thought she was losing her mind. Every time her mom called, her chest would get tight. Every time her boss asked her to stay late, her stomach would flip. Every time her friend guilt-tripped her for saying no, she felt like she was being mean. The doctors said it was anxiety. Her family said she was being dramatic. But here's what nobody told her. That tight feeling in your chest, that's not anxiety trying to hurt you. That's your inner warning camera going off. And if you've ever felt that camera flash when someone gets upset at you for simply wanting something basic for yourself, this video is your mirror. A famous mind doctor named Carl Jung discovered something amazing about human brains over 100 years ago. He found out that we all wear masks. Not real masks, but pretend versions of ourselves. Jung called these masks our personas. Think of it like this. You have a work mask, a family mask, a friend mask. But here's the scary part Jung found out. Sometimes we wear these masks so long, we forget who we really are underneath. And that forgetting? That's when the warning camera in your chest starts going off. But wait, there's more to this story that will blow your mind. Another brilliant thinker named Niccolò Machiavelli wrote a famous book called The Prince over 500 years ago. In it, he warned about something that sounds mean but is actually true. He said that being too nice all the time makes you a target. People will use your niceness against you. Now I know what you're thinking. But isn't being nice good? Of course it is. But here's what Machiavelli figured out about human nature. Some people will keep pushing your boundaries until you push back. And when you finally do push back, they act shocked, like you're the mean one. If you have ever been called selfish for simply wanting time alone, if you've ever been called dramatic for having feelings, if you've ever been called mean for saying no, your warning camera was trying to tell you something important. You are not imagining this. There's a brain reason it feels so extreme when people get upset at your boundaries. And if you want to understand why this happens and how to fix it, make sure to subscribe, because we're about to go deep into mind detective work that will change everything. Jung discovered that inside every person, there are parts we show the world and parts we hide. The parts we hide, he called our shadow self. But here's what's interesting. Sometimes the parts of ourselves we're most afraid to show are actually the parts we need most. Let me tell you about David. David was the nice guy at work, always said yes, always helped everyone, never complained. But inside, David was angry, really angry. He was tired of working late while others went home. He was tired of his ideas getting ignored. He was tired of being treated like a doormat. But every time he thought about speaking up, that familiar feeling would hit his chest. One day, David's warning camera went off so loud he couldn't ignore it anymore. His boss asked him to work another weekend. And for the first time in his life, David said no. Just no. No explanation, no apology, just no. His boss was shocked. His co-workers whispered. Some people called him difficult. But here's what happened next that changed David's whole life. The people who truly cared about David respected his number. The people who got angry, they were the ones who had been using his niceness against him all along. David's anxiety wasn't anxiety at all. It was his true self trying to break free from the mask he'd been wearing. Jung said something powerful about this. He said that becoming who you really are means disappointing people who want you to stay small. That sounds scary, but it's actually the most freeing thing you'll ever hear. Your freedom to be yourself is not being mean. It is your right as a human being. Now let me share something that might make you uncomfortable, but it's something Machiavelli understood about human relationships. He said that in every relationship, there's a game of power being played. Most good people don't want to think about this because it sounds manipulative. But here's the thing. If you don't understand the game, you become the game piece that everyone else moves around. Machiavelli wasn't saying to be mean to people. He was saying to be smart about people. He was saying that some folks will test your boundaries to see what they can get away with. And when you don't have boundaries, they keep pushing until they break you. That feeling in your stomach when someone guilt trips you. That's your internal warning camera saying, danger, this person is trying to control you. That racing heart when someone gets mad at you for taking care of yourself. That's your mind trying to protect you from emotional manipulation. You are not responsible for fixing what others won't face about themselves. Let me say that again. You are not responsible for fixing what others won't face about themselves. Another famous mind doctor named Donald Winnicott discovered something that explains why this feels so hard. He found out that we all have two versions of ourselves, the real you and the fake you. The real you knows what you want and what you don't want. The fake you tries to make everyone else happy, even when it hurts you. Winnicott found that when we were babies, we learned how to connect with people by watching our parents. If our parents got upset when we cried or had needs, we learned to hide those needs. We learned to be the fake version of ourselves to keep people happy. But here's what nobody told you. That fake version was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to protect you when you were little and helpless. But if you're still wearing that fake version as an adult, your real self is going to keep sending you warning signals. That anxiety you feel, that's your real self banging on the door, trying to get out. If this is hitting close to home and you're starting to see patterns you've never noticed before, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of people who choose to be real, and you belong here. Let me tell you about another discovery from a smart woman named Melanie Klein. She studied how our early relationships shape the way we connect with people as adults. Klein found something fascinating. She discovered that the way people treated us when we were tiny creates like a blueprint in our minds for all future relationships. If you grew up in a house where your feelings were too much, where your needs were a burden, where keeping the peace was more important than being honest, then your blueprint got programmed wrong. Your emotional protection response learned to see your own needs as dangerous. That's why saying no feels so scary. That's why disappointing people feels like the end of the world. That's why your chest gets tight when someone gets upset at you. Your blueprint is still running on old broken software from when you were little. But here's the amazing part. You can rewrite that software. You can upgrade your awareness and teach your warning camera to work for you instead of against you. Jung called this process individuation, but I like to call it becoming who you really are. It's like mental surgery where you separate yourself from all the fake programming and find your true self underneath. And yes, some people are going to hate this new version of you. Machiavelli warned us about this too. He said that people who benefit from your weakness will fight your strength. The people who got comfortable with the fake version of you are going to resist the real version. But here's what's beautiful about this process. The people who love the real you will celebrate your awakening. The people who only loved what you could do for them will show their true colors and remove themselves from your life. It's like a filter that automatically sorts the real relationships from the fake ones. You didn't come into this world to be everyone's emotional support person. You came here to be yourself, fully, completely, unapologetically yourself. Now I know some of you are thinking, but what if I hurt people's feelings? What if they reject me? What if I'm actually selfish? These thoughts are not coming from your real self. These thoughts are coming from that old, broken blueprint trying to keep you small and safe. Here's something Machiavelli understood that most people miss. He said that being too good to everyone makes you good to no one, including yourself. When you say yes to everything, your yes becomes meaningless. When you never say no, you become a person with no boundaries, and people without boundaries get walked on. Your real self knows the difference between being kind and being used. Your real self knows when someone is asking for help versus when someone is demanding that you sacrifice yourself for their comfort. That guilt you feel when you start standing up for yourself. Jung would call that the shadow of your old programming. That guilt is not yours. Someone else put it there to control you. You have the right to disappoint people who want you to stay small. You have the right to be called difficult by people who found you easy to manipulate. You have the right to be called selfish by people who were being selfish with your time and energy. If you're feeling that fire of recognition burning in your chest right now, drop a comment that says, "I choose to be real," so we can build this community of authentic people together. Let me share one more story that brings all of this together. There was a woman named Lisa who spent 30 years being everyone's hero. She was the friend who always listened, the daughter who never complained, the employee who always stayed late, the mom who never took time for herself. Then one day, Lisa's warning camera went off so loud she couldn't ignore it anymore. She was at her daughter's school event, exhausted from working all week, when another mom asked her to volunteer for yet another committee. And for the first time in her life, Lisa said, "No, I can't do that." The other mom's face changed completely. She said, "Wow, Lisa, I never thought you were the type to not care about the children." In that moment, Lisa saw the manipulation game that Machiavelli had written about centuries ago. This woman wasn't asking for help. She was using guilt as a weapon to get Lisa to say yes. And Lisa's anxiety? It wasn't broken. It was her internal warning system screaming, "This person is trying to manipulate you." That night, Lisa started what Jung would call her individuation process. She started becoming who she really was instead of who everyone else needed her to be. Some people didn't like this new Lisa. Her own mother said she was becoming selfish. Some friends stopped calling. But the most amazing thing happened. Lisa's real friends, the ones who actually cared about her as a person, celebrated her new boundaries. Her husband said he was proud of her for finally standing up for herself. Her kids learned that it was okay to have needs and wants. Lisa's anxiety didn't go away overnight, but it changed. Instead of being a constant panic, it became a useful tool. When her chest got tight, she learned to ask herself, "What is my warning camera trying to tell me?" Usually it was telling her that someone was crossing her boundaries or trying to make her responsible for their feelings. This is what Jung meant when he talked about integrating your shadow self. Lisa had been hiding her ability to say no, her right to have needs, her power to choose herself. These weren't bad parts of her personality. They were essential parts that she needed to become whole. And this is what Machiavelli understood about human nature. He knew that good people often get taken advantage of because they don't want to believe that some people will use their goodness against them. But when you understand the game, you can play it wisely. You can be kind without being a pushover. You can be generous without being used. You can be loving without losing yourself. Your awakening might look like anxiety to people who benefit from your sleep, but it's actually your soul trying to save your life. So here's what I want you to understand. That feeling you've been calling anxiety might actually be your internal wisdom trying to guide you toward authenticity. Your chest gets tight around certain people because your warning camera recognizes manipulation. Your stomach flips when you're about to say yes to something that violates your boundaries because your true self is trying to protect you. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You are awakening to who you really are. And some people are going to hate that because they've gotten comfortable with the fake version of you. But here's the most important thing Jung discovered in all his years of studying human minds. He found that the people who have the courage to become their authentic selves live the most fulfilling lives. They have real relationships instead of fake ones. They have genuine peace instead of pretend calm. They have true freedom instead of the prison of people-pleasing. Machiavelli would add this: the people who understand human nature and set boundaries accordingly don't get walked on, manipulated, or used. They command respect because they respect themselves first. Your journey to authenticity won't be easy. That old programming is going to fight you every step of the way. You're going to feel guilty for having boundaries. You're going to feel selfish for taking care of yourself. You're going to feel mean for disappointing people who want you to stay small. But remember this, that guilt is not coming from your real self. It's coming from the fake programming that was installed when you were too young to know better. Your real self knows that you can't pour from an empty cup. Your real self knows that you can't love others authentically if you don't love yourself first. Your real self knows that healthy relationships require two whole people, not one person sacrificing themselves for another. If this message is resonating with you, if you're feeling that fire of recognition, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of people who choose authenticity over approval, truth over comfort, and real relationships over fake peace. And in the comments, I want you to declare your choice. Right, I choose to be real if you're ready to stop apologizing for taking up space in your own life. Right, my warning camera is working if you're ready to trust your instincts instead of ignoring them. Your anxiety was never the problem. Your anxiety was the solution, trying to break through. It was your soul's way of saying, wake up, you're living someone else's life. It's time to come home to yourself. Jung spent his entire career helping people understand this truth. Machiavelli spent his life studying human nature and power dynamics, and now you have their wisdom to guide you on your own journey to authenticity. The people who truly love you will celebrate your awakening. The people who only loved what you could do for them will reveal themselves and leave. And that's not a loss, that's a gift. Because on the other side of that fake anxiety is your real life waiting for you. A life where you say yes because you want to, not because you're afraid to say no. A life where you show up as yourself, not as who everyone else wants you to be. A life where your relationships are real, your peace is genuine, and your freedom is complete. Your awakening is not anxiety. Your awakening is your birthright, and it's time to claim it. Remember to subscribe if this message spoke to your soul, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll dive even deeper into the psychology of authentic living. Until then, keep listening to that warning camera. It's been trying to save your life all along.